Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation also to be here on Occulture. Actually, when I was submitting my proposal, I was kind of excited. Ooh, will they accept that? You know, and now I'm here, and I have to be here for money. So. I brought something with me. It looks like a Bible, and it says in German Geld, which says money, right? But you can also track the word back, Geld, to the old German word of Gild, which means debt, or be feeling guilty, or being guilty. And so what I'm going to do with you is kind of diving into the forces connected and surrounded by money, with money. And thank you also for the session before. I just saw the last sentence with the Faustus, and Faust and Goethe will also play a little role here, since we are in Germany, and no one, I think, in school really has to read the Faustus part 2. There's a second part some people don't even know, and it is about money, actually, and how it came into being. Magic. Something to check. Oh, the box is here. The magic box. Cool. Yeah, it was already here. So, what I'm going to do with you is a little hands-on workshop on money. We will do some ritual work. We will do some magic, maybe. We will see how it works out. There will be 3 parts. First, I would like you to introduce to the story of money. There are so many stories and myths, and I would like to introduce one. Then, at the second part, I would like to get some ideas from you how you work already with money. I mean, there are some people in the room now already, and thank you very much for showing up to this session. Can you just give a hand sign? Who worked with money already somehow in his magic work? Okay, cool. Wow. Maybe it was about wealth work, maybe there were some others. We will find out what it was about. So there are many, many ways to work with money. A colleague of mine, she's working on the personality traits of people, kind of going deep into your relation to money, says so much about yourself and who you are and might be, potential be. So there are many, many ways of connecting with money. So, and by the end, the third part will be a little work on the archetypes of money. Because if you look closer at the monetary system and the money system we are surrounded with and by, there are quite strong forces you can get a grip on when you go very deep into the archetypes by C.G. Jung. Okay, so welcome again to everyone who's following. Find your space, find a seat. Here are always still also some possibilities over there. Just keep the inner space a little empty.
Careful with the candle. It might burn.
Woo-hoo-hoo, getting burned. Just keep the space in the middle empty because we will use that in some minutes. Okay. I will pass around a 20 Swiss franc bill on this side, trusting. I will pass on here a leaf on this side. And when you get those and look at them, you can already start to think, what is more powerful? What is more powerful? You can also look at it in terms of magic, maybe, also there. Okay, let's go for the money. Part 1, Introduction to Money. There are many stories about money, and one very powerful I like to tell is that money is rooting into sacrifices. And sacrificing. When mankind came into being and we became conscious and we took stuff from nature and we killed animals and we feed ourselves, at a certain point as social beings, we thought we have to give something back to whatever there is out there. So partly we gave things back, part of the animal, part of the harvest, part of the plants we gave back to whatever out there is. But there was a problem. What is enough? When are those forces satisfied? What is enough? Is it a third? Is it half of the harvest of the animal? What is enough? You need someone who tells you, someone who knows. You need a shaman, you need a priest, you need someone who can quantify what is enough. And so you have a very powerful person in the tribe, in the village, and the person knows what is enough. And then at a certain point, you give the sacrifices to the entities, to the deities, to the beings out there. But then you think, maybe we can keep a little bit more for ourselves because we are so hungry, because maybe there's something else we can give to the gods. And maybe there's something that looks like the sun and it looks valuable. So maybe this piece of gold, maybe something else that the gods accept. And then the priest and the shaman says, yes, the gods will take that. Then it's fine. Then it's great. And when the gods accept it, when they accept what we give them, then it's good. Then it's valuable. And then you can use it also for trading in the temple. So trading in the temple started with payments accepted by gods, accepted by God. You know moneta, one of the gods in the Roman Empire, moneta, money, gave also her name to those currencies, to those coins, being accepted. And when they were accepted in the temple, you can use them also for paying them on the markets out there. And when they are accepted in the markets out there, you can pull this out in the world by soldiers getting your taxes as a king. And so the invention of money, created out of a sacred background, was distributed all over the world. But what is still happening is that money needs sacrifices. Money, being a sacrifice, might become something that we now sacrifice. We sacrifice our working time. We sacrifice maybe other beings so that it keeps its value, its power, its strength. So this is a story of money that you might already know, that you already think that might be one powerful story. But what if this is the story of money? What if we believe into money as a society? What are we willing to sacrifice for it? What are we willing to sacrifice for our belief into money? I don't know. This is also why I deal with this school of nothing. Some people call nothing also void or dealing with darkness. So, but if you look at money again, created out of nothing, still by central banks, by private banks, it might be you saw the talk over there before when she was giving these quotes from the Bible, and there will be light. So fiat money means, right, there will be money. So it is created out of nothing. It is nothing we work with. If you look at this paper passing around here, and when you look at the leaf passing around here, what are the differences? Aren't they the same? Why is this powerful? Why is this maybe also powerful, but we don't want to see the power of this? What are the differences? So the nothing, I think, is very powerful to get an idea of the power of money also. Another quote I would like to show is, when we now go deeper into money and why is it relevant, because Joseph Beuys said, maybe capitalism is just one step in the development of money, and there's something coming after. So what is then this thing we are now struggling with, we call capitalism, and what can be the next step? What can be the transformation of capitalism, so that we don't overcome money, but we transform money, that we use it differently, that we create other logics, that we create maybe other spells, that we create maybe other forces and power using it. And the story I told, too bad it's a book just published in German, but I can give you the small summary of Heiliges Geld, Sacred Money by Bernhard Laum. It's written already in the 1930s around. And he came up with a story of money as a sacrifice. And it's not only a story. He was a historian, he was a philosopher who looked for many, many sources and found out that there's a deep, deep proof also that money has, beside the story of David Graeber of debts, that it's also the story of sacrifices. And the story of sacrifices, I think, is very powerful when you really want to get a grip of the power and the forces beyond money as we use it every day. Some people even say, you know, when we go for a supermarket now and we pay, it's kind of going to an altar and putting there our sacrifices to get something back from that. So all those kind of dealing with, and when the surplus is, you know, created by buying something, it goes up, as we all know, and is not distributed equally. So there are so many things that you find they are connected to religious beliefs, to sacrificing, and to the question of where to go with that. Two other sources I'm using on this is Money and Magic by Binswanger, also a German researcher, but those books are in English available. And Money and Magic, it's exactly about Faustus II, and he describes how Johann Wolfgang von Goethe described how money was created like an alchemistic process out of nothing by some inventions the devil, Mephistopheles, in this book was sharing. The interesting thing of this book also that Binswanger describes is that Faustus says, it's not only about, you know, we're not so greedy about money, it's what we do with that. And one thing is, and you find it in this book beautifully described, with money we can scribe ourselves into the world. This is why we, you know, have all those discussions about buying property. Buying property is not just a valuable economical thought. It is something that you create, something that you own, something which represents yourself over your death. So this momentum of we want to overcome death and dying is also written in Money and Equity. And there you see there are very powerful topics intertwined in the question of money and the mystery of money. And now I would like to open up, there was a hand mic, or wasn't there a hand mic? I would like to open up a little more after my little introduction with all those little ideas about money and ask you, thank you, and ask you, how did you work so far with money? What were your experiences with money? So let's start to share a little bit the experiences of all the magicians, witches, and practitioners here in the space. So who has a little story to share about his work with money? Please. Can you say your name first and then?
My name is Daria, and I grew up with stigma around money because I'm coming from Russia. My parents were educated in the Soviet Union, and we were artists, so we were not allowed to charge money for our work, basically. So when I came to Europe, we got kind of abused by our work because people would monetize it much more than what our generational story was taught. And so I always lived really on the last single penny and not able to grow my art or invest in my art. So one day I had this revelation that I find money unholy, and I started to work with Capricorn and the mystical forces of the earth, and I created a ceremony for people to connect with the earth and feel whole. And through doing this group work, I started to have also like steady income immediately. And I also noticed that my work is holy, so I also need to protect it. And energetically, this started to manifest in me having a much more steady income and growing my craft. So I didn't get richer. I'm still really poor, but I'm not surviving. I can invest in my art and do something with it. So this is my work with money.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Yeah, other work. Oh, the money is all. You see, the money is coming back then at a certain point. Yes, you, and then I come over you.
So I started up with like a kind of like anti-capitalistic punk paradigm against money when I started out, and studied philosophy, comparative religion, and art at the beginning, then politics, science of politics. And as was always told, you're not gonna make any money any time with this. Like it's like brotlose Kunst. And when people would ask me like, what are you gonna do for a living with studying philosophy? Yeah, well, in worst case, I'll drive a taxi and I'll have like interesting topics of conversation, right? Now I became self-employed, so the topic of money has become more relevant. And I started out with working with Deepak Chopra's abundance thingy. It's like a 23rd or 21 days of abundance chain thing. And he has like one meditation on money that I crafted a chaos magic spell around it, which was around reprogramming money to like money is an energy, money is my friend, money likes to flow to me. I liberate my ancestral blah 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 on money, and I ask my ancestors who were abundant to give me abundance, and the ancestors who weren't to like be okay with me having money. That was one thing, and then I created I am also chaos magician, so working with the blue magic, right? A blue magic spell on my altar, which is like a commonwealth magic. So when my clients come and pay cash, I invite them to put that in this blue bowl and ask them, like, if they put it in with intention, it might return manic fuck to them. So it's like I create wealth for me and wealth for my community and my clients at the same time. And since I've been doing that, like I've had like a good flow of money. I'm still not wealthy, but also not in existential dread. So it's sort of working, and it's still a process of reprogramming and like trusting. And I've been working with Jupiter as well for like the flow of abundance and be provided for.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I also had a similar story with money, to both of you. I was also raised in a family that they were demonizing money, and then after like my family's financial situation changed, their approach to money has changed as well. But like I hated money as I was growing up. Although at age like 12, I used to crack computer games and burn them into CDs and sell them to my friends. I had an amazing business going on, and I was and then I was learning about how to make money then. Then I used to sell crystals in Brickland. I used to import them from Turkey and get them for £1 and sell them for 50. And that was a really good business. So I always had this, like, because I'm Turkish, we have this, Turkish Grand Bazaar energy. You can't help it, and I've been, channeling that. But at some point in my life, after I graduated from university, and found myself in the self-employed, world where like you have to chase the clients, you get the project ready, work on it, and then chase clients. And then I felt burned out. And then I started hating money. Then one day I realized that like I don't like capitalism, and best way to tackle capitalism is to make enough money and buy it off. And I say like and like what Elon Musk did, doesn't like Twitter, buys it off and changes the algorithm. I think that's like the most baddest thing that you can do, play the game by its rules. And I said, how can I do this? How can I reprogram my mind? And I play computer games every now and then there's two specific computer games that I play, which is one of them is Diablo. You might know it. And in the Diablo, like you're the sorcerer, you're warrior, whichever character, and then you just like hack and slash and you just loot, you just loot stuff and you make money. And then this way, and then also in Diablo you have mana. And then I realized that like my mana was my money, and in real life. So I started thinking that I'm a magician, I'm a Diablo character in this life, and I need to have a lot of mana. But how am I going to fill up that mana place, like the mana potions? Then I was playing another game called Witcher, and in the Witcher, like you're this warlock, and then the whole game is like about 80% of it is about conversations. And then it's a great game for like finessing your decision making, because the game has 24 different endings, so depending on your decision. But there is also, when you are getting a quest from an NPC, you bargain with them. So I spent a whole weekend, I kid you not, doing ketamine and getting into a disassociative mindset and just bargaining with every single NPC. And I kid you not, those two really shifted my perception on money. And then money started flowing into me because I realized my self-worth. I realized I was practicing bargaining on a computer game. And another thing that I experienced was once I realized that money is really about self-worth, like how you know how to sell yourself and your product. Doesn't matter what you're selling. If you know how to sell it, you can sell anything. And then I once had the 3 clients that I invoiced, they were not paying me. There was something was blocked, and my team was waiting me to pay them, and I had so much debt. I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And I spent one night with a friend of mine who's a life coach, and then she took me on to a journey to my childhood and then we had this journey about self-worth, and I really, really felt like I connected with my childhood and healed that. The morning, 3 clients' payments arrived. And I was like, this shit is energy, man. Like, seriously. So, yeah, a good thing. Think it's mana, play a lot of Witcher, and channel your Grand Bazaar energy.
Thank you. Another story being... Oh, just leave? Okay.
Quick, different story. So one part of my practice is Sufism, and Sufism is the most anti-money thing ever. Like, you have to be nothing. So basically, if you don't eat for 5 days, that's amazing. Like, do that. And although I do magic, and it's all about the power, there's also Sufism, who's like, lose everything. So I'm poor as fuck, and I live it as a Sufi practice. That at the end of the day, I'm hungry, but I'm not that hungry, just have the picture. And I read Rumi, and he's saying, oh, the Prophet one day Rumi himself said, is there anything to eat? And they said no, and he's like, thank God, today our house is like the Prophet's house. So, and I kind of live that a bit, but I don't like it also. Because it was easier to do that back in when you were not a capitalist in a capitalist country, and you could do that and be like living off the land, but I have to pay shit, so that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, powerful stories already, or? I feel there are already some resonances, I guess, also here in the room when you listen to those, where you could connect, where you kind of maybe felt, oh. A last one? Is there anything else? If not, yeah, please. Okay, one last sharing, please.
I will just share very briefly. So I resonate so much with all your stories, and I personally, I'm broke as fuck as well. So, but I do a lot. I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of translation, and also work with publishers and all. I also am preparing my PhD dissertation, so really just overwhelmed and fucked up, but also broke as fuck. But during the past few years, I find that I really have an abusive relationship with money, and it's really in conflict. and I have so much fear and so much anxiety around it. Also, you can, like all of us maybe, it always comes from our family, our lineages, and our ancestors, and all the stories that we are told to. So I'm on my path to heal my relationship with money. And one last thing is that I think nourishment, abundance come from the earth, and earth is our home, and this is true for us, for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you so much for your honesty and for this sharing. This is, I think, when you listen to those experiences already and you listen, I think it is so funny, or I mean it's not funny, it's synchronicity, I guess, that you guys sit in a straight line here, right?
I'm from Turkey, where Sufis are from. Sufi retreats cost £2,000. I kid you not. Like I've seen them, I've been to them. It's like it's all about nothingness. It's like an expensive, luxurious Sufi retreat.
Those is the world, right? We live in right now already, And I think this is the interesting thing, You have all the struggles between nothing and create something, being independent from those forces, and the same moment you feel you need those forces somehow to become what you are, and all those struggles, how to deal with them and how to work with them. I mean, there are moments you can do it on your own. You can do strong work on your own individually, and then I think there are moments where we all have to work on this. We all have to work on this. Because at a certain point, you as an individual also, even though you go for magical practices, and even though you see that things change, and which is beautiful, which is really amazing work that you do, you will see that at a certain point you need this, you need the world, you need the others, you need the sharing and the energy and the connectedness with the magic of the others and the possibilities and the connections. And this is why I found it so interesting when I found out about the mystery of money by Bernard Lietaer. And now I would like to give you a little introduction what this guy did. He came from the World Bank, and he was a hardcore banker and guy who dealing with finance and money. Complementary currencies was a huge topic of his. So kind of disconnect from those leading currencies, like the euro or the dollar, and finding regional currencies also to tackle disturbances and to help local groups of people to kind of become more resilient and not so strongly connected to what is going on in the world, or what politicians maybe decide anyway. So he was looking on how to stabilize those currencies and how to go for these regional currencies. And then he saw also, okay, it takes also social work. It needs an understanding of what is underneath all this, what is underneath the currencies, what gives money its power, and what is it that we should also learn to deal with. If you look at the news, the bankers, the central bankers, or the politicians, or our minister Christian Lindner, they have all those funny languages and words, and sometimes you think, oh my God, I don't get it. It's so, yeah. It's kind of, also a kind of a language. They put out spells also, This is all developed out of the same roots we are talking here without. The question is how to disenchant, how to bring other spells into play, how to bring other forces into play, that it becomes more equal, that it becomes more a dance and not just one institution or one person, spelling the others and putting their forces on others. So what Bernard Lietaer did, he checked this monetary system with the help of this guy. I know, it's a classic already. Everyone here heard about Jung and his archetypes and works maybe also already with him. I like the picture of him. Normally you see him as this grumpy old guy, But here, he has fun with the stuff he was doing. And I think this is another thing, and connecting also what you just said. I think one aspect to deal with money is also to connect in a more humorous way. We take it much too serious, And it is serious. We all know we need it so much every day, paying our rents, paying our bills. And so it creates this tension. But we already found out there's this momentum of dealing with dilemmas, with contractions, with paradoxes. So why not taking it serious and suffer, but in the same moment start to make more fun of it and laugh about it? I guess this model you're also familiar with by Jung when he goes for the self-development. We also already talked. And you see on the upper, the persona, the ego, the outer world. This is what politics, where businesses are working with, where the measures are, where you could put numbers on and so on, you know. And the problem we face right now is really still, and I don't tell you anything new here because we know that already, is that they don't know how to go underneath the surface. They are afraid. They don't have the techniques. They never learned it. They are not educated into that. Besides, their spells and work, they don't use consciously. You know, they kind of get this at their business schools. They learn it in their peers, but they don't see that as spells. They see that as, you know, logical or rational or whatever. But just I give you one example. The whole history of double-entry bookkeeping, which seems very rational. It was created by Luca Pacioli. And Luca Pacioli was the guy who taught Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, and he was an artist, but he was also an alchemist. And when he came up with double-entry bookkeeping, there was some magic involved. There was some aesthetics involved. There were some arts involved. So this is why I say money is a great piece of human art. It is unbelievably crafted. It's elegant. Sometimes it's even beautiful. If you look at those things, it tells you so much if you look at the art of them. Also, here's a 50-euro bill. If you look at this piece of art and some magic, right? Some ghosts appear if you hold it to the light, right? If you look closer, then you see, okay, there are buildings on it. As I said earlier, Faustus, it says money is there to bring you into the world, to build something, to get property. So this is why there are bridges. It's not, some people say, yeah, it's about bridging the cultures in Europe, la, 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 yeah. But there are buildings on it. So money, as we run it right now as society, is mostly here to create buildings, real estates, machines, factories. And it, honestly, it doesn't care about humans and social. That's one of the problems. It is based on social understanding and trust, but it doesn't care about this right now. It says, hey, do something hardware with it. Go for high tech. Go for machines. But don't go for humans. You know? And now comes the question, how to transform this, coming back to the quote of Joseph Beuys, how to transform this capitalist thinking of money into something which is maybe more social, maybe more ecological, so that this maybe comes closer or is maybe the same at a certain point. I pass something else around. You can have a look on this. It's a 0 euro. You can think about this also. It is valid for the School of Nothing. You can have. Yeah. Yay! Okay. Oh my God, what is this? Also, a 0 coin. Oh my God. Money magicians are in the space. Oh, thank.
This is a 0 fucks coin.
The 0 fucks coin. Amazing. I love it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we start from 0, if this is fine with you, to go for the work by Bernard Lietaer, going for the money system we face right now. And what we will do until the end of the session, and we will have now 1 hour left, we will transform the monetary system together. Are you with me? Yeah? Because it's about really to get a feeling of where do we want to go with that, you know? Because if you go for the rational, just you don't go with the whole power, you don't go with the whole energy, you don't go with the whole force we bring here in the space, but also as a society for this transformation. And therefore, I would like to start to create with you the current monetary system as a symbol, as a small little ritual we will work with here in the middle. This is why the carpet is still here and free. What I would like to have now, as you can see here, are five. Yeah, let's start with four. That is why I said four. 4 volunteers. 4 volunteers. Let's start with the first volunteer here, the warrior. Who wants?
I also play warrior.
Love it. You can stand here, please. Yeah, over here. So then I go for the magician. Who wants to be the magician? Okay, come over here, please. The Great Mother. Who wants to impersonate? Yes. Two people. You showed both. So please, then you see already the Great Mother. There's some power. 2. A lover or the lover. Who wants? Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And then for the sovereign, I would like to have one person here for the sovereign already now. Yes, please. Perfect. Beautiful. Amazing. Okay. Now we have a first circle, and I would you like now to put some ideas and, let's say, create the warrior with some of your feelings, emotions, and thoughts you have when you hear the warrior. What makes the warrior the warrior?
Relentlessness, persistence, reliability, honor,
Vitality.
respect,
Anger.
command, justice,
Intimidation.
Okay. Are there any weaknesses the warrior has also?
Lack of accountability.
Okay. Okay.
There was a better word in Danish, but we couldn't come up with it.
Okay, thank you. So just let those qualities resonate with you and keep them with you. We go for the magician. What are the qualities, the pros, the magician?
Perspective. Teacher. Nature. Spirit and mind.
Okay, thank you. So what are the weaknesses or problems with a warrior? With a magician.
Crazy. Isolated. Addicted or compulsive?
Okay.
Again, power over.
Okay, thank you. Also, keep those qualities with you. Keep the resonance. We have the Great Mother. Please, what are the qualities of the Great Mother?
power, protection, acceptance,
Bridge building.
love, experience, creation, creativity, transformation, fertility, boundaries,
Ongoing care.
nothingness, night, ocean.
Okay, thank you. What are the problems, the difficulties with the Great Mother? Okay, thank you. Stay also with those qualities, with those resonances. Please hold them. The lover. What are the qualities of the lover? The lover. Okay. What are the difficulties? What are the dark sides?
Impulsive. Two-faced. In a bubble. Manipulative. Overly optimistic. Delusionally optimistic. Excess. Attention seeking.
Okay, thank you. Can you keep all those with you? The qualities, the resonance, thank you. Let's go for the sovereign, the ruler, or the people in charge of society. So what are the qualities? What is the good?
Diplomacy. Leadership. Oversight. Structure.
Determination.
Internal, like, core strength. Dogmas. Structure. Balancing. Humanitarian.
Non-duality. Grace.
Security.
Understanding.
Okay, and now the dark sides, shadows.
Manipulative. Selfish.
Restricting, limitation.
Untrustworthy. Liar.
Insensitive.
Okay. Okay, can you keep this? Resonances and qualities. Okay. I would like you now to ask here, you as the archetypes, with the qualities you have and you feel, if you now leave the setting but stay on the carpet, if you create now a moment of how are you in the world right now when you think about our society, what's going on, in which relationship are your archetypes with each other? How do you face each other? How close are you to each other? Just follow your impulses. Just create. You can move and create. Where are you? How do you relate? Okay, let's stop for a while here. When you feel now that you have a position that you think that is okay, so we have now the lovers separated, I see. And we have the warrior there with a great mother and partly lover, the great mother separated, sorry, yeah. And we have the magic, the wizard together with the sovereign. So when you just express how you feel right now, where you are, why did you choose this, or how are you right now?
I'm in service to the mother, and I'm your group who's the warrior. I'm the other side of the warrior?
I feel like there's part of the lover and the warrior inside me, but at the same time, externally, there's the care of others and the protection against the warrior, protection for the others and myself.
From a warrior's perspective, like warrior needs to think about all the mothers that he is making cry, at a battle, And from a self-worth perspective, I think your self-worth is really related to your family, because they're the ones that brought you to this reality. So your connection with them really determines your self-worth.
I think the mother is neglected and isolated and came towards the warrior for the power that it can offer.
Oh, and then I came here.
It's okay. It's okay. How do you feel? How do you feel as a part of the Great Mother? Why are you separated now here?
Like I said, a neglect, I think. It kind of goes to what you were with your illustration of the money and the leaf, that there's such a separation.
Also, this mother is between the relationality of like what could be seen as kind of a heteronormative nuclear family situation over here and the independent power of those over there. And she's alone but stuck between.
How are you?
Well, I felt first dragged to the warrior, but he left. But then the magician flirted with me, and I thought, okay, that's maybe more interesting than the warrior.
Magician.
So there was a sense of like, there's some attraction to the power and like a feeling an allure to that center of power, like we can create together. And then there's also this sense of like, responsibility. There's responsibility.
Any observations from the others, please?
It reminded me of the King Arthur mythos at the end, when you had Merlin and King Arthur, the Lady of the Sea, and then Mordred and the mother of the son they had, and also the lover, one of the Knights of the Round Table, who went against King Arthur. So you have like these dynamics, archetypes, in the positions.
Thank you. Other observations from the outside? Sometimes, just come back to you, sometimes from the outside there's some more to find out.
One I just think is interesting in relation between the mother and the warrior is the duality of thought that the warrior has to keep in mind of not only the mothers he's hurting, but the mothers he's protecting also.
Thank you.
I am really bad with names, but yesterday there was a lecture and there was a quote of Burroughs about who we should fear in the power. And in the past we would fear the ones with lack of sense of humor or not understanding magic. And now we should fear the ones that have humor and understanding of magic. And I think that's what we see here, that there's the magician that is not us, so close to the power. And probably I also see like the wound we have as magicians is that this power is taken away from us, so we want this power. And the more we want it from the shadow place, the less we are going to change the situation at the moment. Basically, that's what I see here.
Oh, thank you.
But I also feel interesting that I have no attraction and interest into the mothers and lover, like they're absent. So I just noticed that that's kind of weird.
I noticed something. I mean, I didn't realize you coming towards me, and I was really feeling unconscious when I was making that. I wanted to actually go towards the magician, but that was my personal, interest in magic and being warrior, and being a warlock. But when you two came there, I had to literally actually cut through you to leave from there, and I felt and it was a conscious decision that I had to do, in order to literally separate you and cut through you to come here. And then as I got here, I saw that the magician went that way, and then you stop there. I was, okay, where am I now then? And then I end up here. But then in this, it's not just a random thing. There's like a poetic beauty here, I believe.
I noticed that the sovereign is the only one who barely moved position. Like it all kind of, the constellation created itself around you, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, interesting, because the first impulse was also to go towards the warrior, and then the warrior moved, and I was like, okay, so and then we go for the sovereign here.
Sorry?
Magician went to something that, like, magician followed something that stays or remains. That's really interesting.
Okay. At the very moment, I can't see the warrior, but I can see the hand on the on the laugh, and for me, it lowers the laugh, so it's very connected to the mother, but not giving a powerful approach to the constellation.
I see the powers of nature on the one side, and then the man-made instances on the other side.
The what?
The man-made instances, so not natural, I would say.
Just one moment, I just want to check, is it okay that you stand here for a couple of more seconds, minutes? Yeah, okay.
I just want to do a very quick remark. It's like, what I see here,
Microphone.
It's ruling without love. I mean, you have rulership dissociated from human love, let's say. Rulership is in itself a constellation dissociated from humankind, or whatever emotional power there is. That's what I see here.
Thank you.
I see quite a different situation, like the shift of power, because actually sovereign without the warrior is nothing, unless the magician will find ways to bribe the warrior. So instead of seeing the sovereign as sovereign, I see the Great Mother as becoming a sovereign.
Okay, sorry if this has already been commented on, but I find it interesting that the Great Mother, kind of, as the trio, is actually holding down desire. So it's like, is Mother Nature actually telling us, curb your desires, you're taking too much?
Can you, I just pass it on here.
I find it quite a modern constellation of the mother stands alone between power and support, feeling isolated. I'm kind of like, well, that's a fucking illustration of our society, all right?
Thank you. So, yes, please.
Yeah, and also the split of the mother in this instance, since we're two, I feel like there's this kind of like necessary, almost like bondage that can be seen as like, you know, shadow or light side of like support, but also like bondage, like, like being torn in two, dissociate, like just like being stuck in relational aspects, like tight relational aspects with the warrior and the lovers, but then not arriving actually in the seat of independence and power of like being their own sovereign person, like alone on the way. So like stuck between or alone, but not alone the way you two are like alone next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Okay, one last from the outside.
Referring to the holding down of desire, it's interesting, behind those people, the lover doesn't really touch the mother. He touches the warrior, maybe to ask for help, I don't know. She holds him down, the desire, and he has nothing to do with her beside that. He only touches the warrior.
We're connected.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. Please, can you move again into the right position as you had? No. Just keep it. You had just the first position was different. Yes, thank you. Okay.
I found it also curious that between us there was like this moment of like, okay, I flirted with power, like come close to me, but then we stood like, it's like, okay, now we're still the deal, and it's like each one on their own. It's like
Each one on their own. Okay. One last from the inner circle, and then we continue.
So the Great Mother role is inherently relational, and here I stand without relation.
It really reminds me of Demeter and Kore. Demeter and Kore, Persephone. Yeah. Also Ereshkigal and Inanna. Yeah.
Can you explain it? Just
No. It's a great mystery.
Okay. That's an awesome transmission now to the next step, because I would like you now, after all what you heard, I know that, between the trickster and the magician and, they are, whatever you want to see, what kind of relationships there are, if they are kind of the same, but, one is brighter than the other, or if it's a different archetype, whatever. But I would like now to invite 3 archetypes as tricksters. So 3 tricksters, please. I would like to ask them just to come over here. 3 people as tricksters. Who wants, after all that you heard, please, oh, beautiful, yes, please, you 3, amazing, great. And I want one other archetype, which is the child. Please. Beautiful. The child I would like to ask to stand here, like in the middle of this. And I mean, as we all know, there are many universes now, many realms here that can be the next ones, that can emerge, that can continue, that can end, whatever. I would like now to ask the tricksters to do some magic. And this means that you now, maybe if you want, you can have a small little discussion between you 3, or you just start. It's up to you. And your job will be to join this setting here and give those archetypes maybe a little hint, a little direction, or ask them to change their position a little bit, to go somewhere else, invite them, move them gently, or maybe you just by fooling around a little bit with them. What tricksters do to create a new situation, to create a new world, we will see here, having the child now in the middle. Whatever the child is, we had some definitions of the other archetypes, but the child now is pure potential, is new, is the child. And it's up to you now to ask, invite the other archetypes to reform around the child, please. Just a little break. I just ask for the tricksters. I just get a little insight from the inside. So, what do you observe? How do you feel right now?
I felt like a shift in the power of the magician towards more softness when I was connected to the mother. And then there was like but there's a warrior on the side here. But I'm here with the mother, and it feels, it's a different kind of power and a different kind of magic.
I feel a bit strange, to be honest. Like having like Sovereign in the middle, it feels like the energy is trapped, and it seems like we're like trapping the energy. But it's also like, if you look at like today's like world's problems, it all comes from politicians and people in power. So almost like the rest of archetypes are coming together to be like, hey, change yourself, kind of. We're trapping the energy, but also not letting the energy to make more decisions that hurt people.
So it's maybe more a moment of transition right now than the final
exactly,
state.
Yeah. It's a cauldron now,
How do you feel? Sorry.
I feel very warm and connected. And very sensual, yeah.
Sorry, one more.
And I feel, I don't know, I feel I'm destined with the warrior. And also, the sovereign inside, I feel like we are incubating something there. And also the child is like the sovereign is going to be incarnated into the child and go out on an adventure as a fool.
Beautiful. I will ask the child as a last, but I will continue here.
It's nice to be reconnected and also in relation.
Yeah, I feel much more comfortable now, both with like the way that we're looking at each other, being connected to the other mother, and the sense of the connections of the mother and the magician. And the sovereign in the middle, I also feel like is holding the responsibility of the community around them, and that while like they're looking at the people, at the society is also looking back at them, and it's like a tight the trapping. I get that. I was thinking I had other ideas, but whatever.
The tricksters did it. Yeah. Okay.
Can I quickly say with the sovereign? I feel like the sovereign is in service because it's encircled.
Let's ask the sovereign.
I feel really trapped. And in the beginning, they put me behind, and I felt like, okay, I can play a role of protector for a moment. And here also, I feel I am so very temporary.
I have another thing also. I feel like there's a part of me coming like, I can whisper into the sovereign's ear from the back. I can manipulate the sovereign.
And I feel like I will not surrender.
Oh, okay. So also where someone stands here makes a difference. So you can whisper to the ear and you face the child. So, child, how do you feel?
So my story is when I got the mother at this side and then the lover on this side, I felt really relieved, but I also felt a heartbreak because I felt as all children suddenly the reconnection to having a family. And I feel that a lot of children of this world will feel as orphans even if we have families. And then when we had like the horseshoe and the power was in the back was feeling really good, they really supported. And when the power was on front, suddenly I felt guidance and like if the power was there to help me. And this arrangement I feel is really unstable. It feels like the power is serving a function for the power, but I also feel that power is too big to be circled, and it might explode. Like I really literally feel like it can go like here, like really nuclearly. So I feel like this is something that only could work with the responsibility with everybody, and for a specific frame of time. That's what I feel. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. The tricksters. Where are they? This is how tricksters are. They appear and disappear and do something and whatever. I don't care. It's just when you listen now, or also what you did before and now what you hear. Any remarks from you, or is it just what it is?
I think the fact that the sovereign is in the middle, it's just, for me, it means that he has to respond to everything. He cannot act alone, he should, in my perspective. And I think if he acts, he has to be accountable to everyone surrounding him, not just act according to someone in front or in the left. If he's doing something, he has to respond to each and everyone in the circle why he's doing something. That's my idea.
Well, I'm happy that we were three, because my first impulse was to destroy the situation. Like, actually, I came here to say, because I don't like this. What I see, I absolutely don't. And I try to especially debunk the three figures that were like lover and mother and warrior that were standing, because for me it was very conflictual thing. It was abusive relationship, I would say. They were close together, but in abusive relationship. And like first impulse, like I was trying to do something, and then there was another figure, a child, and I felt like I need to reinforce this figure somehow. And but I didn't know what to do, what to create. Like at some point I got stuck. So it was good that there was somebody else around. And the way you started to organize it, first image was the circle, but then I said, circle is boring. No, we can't do circle. It's not how it works. Like, but then, yes, we came to circle. And for me, it's more like we keep empowering sovereign. Like, because it feels like it's a bit explosive situation. It feels like it's cut, but no, it actually accumulates. So I don't know. I still find this, as I say, temporary situation. Oh.
I stand by my first decision of bringing the mother with the child for many reasons. And then I saw the sovereign behind and kind of supporting with the mother. But I was like, I don't trust you one bit to be behind and kind of like also a bit alone. Like, we don't know what you're going to do. We never had good experiences with you. So I brought it in the front. And again, with the half circle and being the front was a bit confrontational and a bit too pessimistic in the sense. And then that's why I thought we could bring them together. But then with what the child just said, I do see that now it's suffocating, the whole dynamic. It's being anarchist or radical anarchist, all the way to revolutionary. I'm Iranian, so I'm a revolutionary. All the way to being a terrorist. Like it can reach that. But I think that's not functioning at all.
Thank you. Thank you to the tricksters. Please, a little applause and say goodbye to the tricksters here and your roles as the tricksters. One remark from the outside, and then we continue and close also.
So just to kind of thought good to be aware of is that the people on the mat are not the only people in the room here. And if this is a relational thing, I think it's quite interesting that depending on where we're sat, kind of like we can't see the sovereign, which I see as the system. So we each have a vantage point where we can only see certain archetypes. And is there anything in that, depending on where we've sat in the room, this is what we see rather than looking at the system instead, which is disguised to us, or even what's on the other side, the other archetypes as well. So maybe just a contemplation to us as well in relation to this as well.
Thank you. Was there something else? No. I would like you now to invite to go back to the beginning. So just leave the sphere and go back into your position of the beginning, and the child can stay in the middle, please. just one last thing I would like to do now, because I'm also very much into spontaneity and going with what is there and what wants to be, and without any tricksters. I would like you now to invite the intelligence of you to go for a last removal, a last cast. And therefore I would like you to invite, just spontaneously, whatever you want to go with this now, reform, leave this and go for another form. Come together in another way than we did before, with the learnings you heard, transform one more and one last time, and create something that you would like to see in the world and feel. Without speaking, just following your heart, your gestures, the bodies, the energies. Just what you feel, what you think, what your heart tells you, what your body tells you.
No, I feel threatened to go.
We're not going to circulate you again.
Thank you very much. Please get out of your archetypes and figures and energies and shake them all off. And I would like to say thank you to all of you. Thank you to you being archetypes. Thank you for being part of this. And take your seat. And this is one more applause for you. Thank you so much. Whew, what a journey. Thank you so much. I hope you had the chance to connect to those archetypes. For sure, there are now questions of what do they stand for. There were some remarks already, and what is it that I can contribute? I mean, as we are all here in this space, which is magicians, tricksters, I think what I like about this approach is that you see that tricksters also, they started to get impulses. They kind of help to move somewhere else, and no one knows what is the right final, if there is a final at all, position of those energies, archetypes. But I think to find out first how you can individually work on those topics concerning money, but also always keep in mind that money is a social issue, is a social magic. It's something that connects all of us. And if we want to transform it, we have to find ways to invite people to try something out, to connect, to help each other, to support each other on this journey. It is something we can only do together. It is only something we can do with the help of the trickster on behalf of the child and the energy of the child that might trigger another movement, some other possibilities, shows potential. And if you want to follow on this, I would like you to invite again to go on the Instagram I have with the School of Nothing. There you can find also the alphabet of nothing, and there will be also some little momentum of money you can find and some thoughts about money. And again, I think this quote of Beuys is quite important, that we keep in mind that we are in the middle of a transformation and not that is the end. It is the beginning of something, and we can all be part of it and do some magic with it as long as we stay connected and playful. Thank you very much. Yeah, if there are now any more questions, remarks, or anything, so I was in time, isn't it beautiful? As we all know, time is money. So, yes.
What is the Faust second story?
You want to?
What is Faust's second story? What is the
It is
context?
actually about how Mephistopheles created the paper money and how then Mephistopheles dealt with it. And you have all those forces embodied by weird creatures that say that are about envy, that are about debt. And so you find all the forces connected to money and the potential of it in a beautiful crafted story.
And who wrote it?
Goethe. It was really written from Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, and he did the first Faust. I mean, I know Faust is a myth which runs way back than being just written by Goethe. But in Germany, at least, you have this famous book by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, Faust 1, and Faust Part 2 is actually not so well known. But this is really about the invention of money, the forces it creates, and I think it's a very well done piece of art to approach this piece of art. Because I think if you look at books of economics and other stuff, and also all the politicians who work with this topic, they are so much into economics and business administration. But from my research, I found that you find the more beautifully books about those topics are from cultural scientists, historians, sociologists, theologists, and so on, and artists also. And so I recommend those.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. You want the mic? Yeah? I think it's always helpful for others.
Like in this time of history where, I think most of the people here, if we have a toxic relationship with money or if we judge it, it's not because we don't want it in our lives, but it's mostly because you can see how toxicity in modernity, it's mainly caused from addiction to money. So basically more like hoarding, like the phenomena of billionaires. Basically, this phenomenon is right now destroying the world. I would like to have your opinion on which archetypes represent this phenomena of hoarding, because when money has this quality that when you become addicted to it, you destroy everything around you, because basically hoarding money is what is impoverishing the world. It's kind of like this dynamic. Which archetypes, what's the knot, and how do you untangle that knot?
Yeah, there's a beautiful answer on that, because Bernard Lietaer, by the end of the day of his work, he says that the economic system, which creates right now by its inner logics also the momentums of greed or the momentums of the distribution we see in the world, it's done by all archetypes together as they are working right now. So when we had the starting point of the archetypes, and we saw the disconnection between certain archetypes, we saw that there's maybe a certain threat from one archetype to the other. Right now, this is the situation which creates the problems we see. And so Lietaer says, okay, we have to shift those archetypes and their energies in society and find new ways how they go with each other, more harmonious, more in a way of exchange. And so it's not the archetype, it's more the constellation of the archetypes creating the problems. And this is what I love also about the work, because then you don't go for getting rid of the bad guys or the bad momentum. It's more a momentum of that you see, okay, everything is connected. How can you help that it readjusts, that there's maybe another force introduced which has been seen yet, the child, for example, and so on, so that you really kind of more work with what is there already instead of getting rid of something, what you think that is the problem, because this is what we see also right now, right? So many situations, being war or in politics, you sometimes have this thing, if the politicians are gone, the bad ones, then everything will be fine. Or, if the enemy is dead, everything will be fine. But it will not, as long as the forces and the energy underneath are still working as they do. And therefore, we need the craftsmanship, which is here also during the conferences, going deeper, working with other energies, working with other methods, and making transparent how we are connected and how we can change and play with those energies. Otherwise, we are trapped on this upper level of consciousness. Welcome. Yes, please. There.
I would like to share what happened for the magician in the last bit, because I think it's very relevant. it went for being in the back of the child and just being with one hand supportive of the child. And I was feeling really the connection to this child out of love and support and care. And there was like, well, the mothers were on the side, so like the magician became caring and supportive, but like also like, okay, I'm just like holding the space here from the back, you know, there's not so much I need to do. Whereas when he was like between the warrior and the mother and behind the sovereign, it was like all kinds of like things we can do. Like drenched and power hungry and kind of like wanting like this control and being like intoxicated by the power he had. Whereas then there was like a sense of like a relaxing guidance, just like support, just holding that space. And I think that is a very good thing to ponder about as magicians.
Thank you. What I also liked about the last was, you know, when I did that, I think it was actually also the first time, there was kind of a momentum that they created something that the lovers were in the middle, protected by so we had always more people for the archetypes. So in the middle were the lovers, protected by the warriors. The wizards were dancing around. And then you had the Great Mother as a holding space around the whole thing. It was also pretty amazing. And I liked, you know, I don't want to evaluate it now, but what I found also very interesting was when the lover here invited the government, right, or the sovereign to come into play. And I think being playful with those, you know, and this is also in how to invite people or, you know, institutions or energies, how to work with those. Can I do this alone? Can I do it with other magicians or other entities who wants to go this way? This is so important right now to find those alliances.
So I have a question. It's a little bit business-wise. When you were explaining that economy is so busy with the ego and the conscious part, and some of us were busy with spreading shadow work as a necessity in our society to change the system. And it's so difficult because it's absolutely unmonetizable. Like, we cannot market it. We cannot, it's unsustainable because like nobody is like putting their energy or money into it. But we are living in a system where things cost at least the production. And this is something that is such a barrier that like there's no investment in shadow work. And if you have any advice on how to change this dynamic energetically.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm working with, I mean, you saw that in my bio. I'm also always working with, you know, the words I'm using, you know, when I enter organizations. And just for example, when I worked the first time with the archetypes, I didn't mention any archetype before or wording, you know. I just did it then when the people were already there. This is the trickster thing. But what I think right now, what happens, there's a lot of claiming of transformation in organizations. So they see the need that they have to work on, for example, the model of Ken Wilber, you know that one, when you have to work more on the culture and on the mindset level. The people already know that it's going deeper now. And I see they are more and more open to those approaches. The question is how to label them, and I liked your presentation also yesterday very much, you know. When you use sometimes certain words in a very playful way, but connect them, let's say, with other words, so make a translation, you know, into, for example, the technology aspect, which are many presentations also here, people instantly understand the magic or shadow work or the work of C.G. Jung when you go for archetypes or characters, you know. So I work sometimes I'm straightforward then with improv or theater. Instantly people know what roles are, right? When you talk about theater roles. And when you say, okay, let's go for a simulation, for example, of an organization, people think in very technical terms, but then you can bring in those theatrical methods, you can bring in characters, you can bring in archetypes, and suddenly you can bring in also shadow work. You know, so sometimes it's kind of a step by step with other people who already found a translation. This is also the introduction, I think, here from the conference to partner with people to find out how are you doing it, you know? What is your approach? What did you find out? But I think the times are changing right now and become more open. But the question is first labeling and where to find those people. But they are out there and they seek. And it's the same struggle that I sometimes have. It's not so much about how to let's say bring it to the people. It's more of being found, because the people seek already, but they don't know what they are looking for. But they look for us. Yeah. Other questions? Other remarks? Please. Here. Yeah.
I just wanted to add to the question you had. Maybe for you, on a personal level, just do a tarot on that question to find out for yourself what would be the connection point. Because for other people, it might be something else. And for tarot, maybe it could give you more answer on that.
Was there another remark? Yeah, in the back. Or a question, please.
So we've looked at all of these constellations and so on, but what I'm left with, my curiosity is, what is actually a healthy relationship with money, and how do we enchant for that?
I take the wand back here. Yeah, what is a healthy relationship to money? I mean, first, I think first also the question can be: is health the thing that you seek with your connection to money? As I mentioned earlier, a colleague of mine, her name is Nadia Taranchevsky, she's working on. I think the work with money can be even more powerful. It can include health aspects, but it can also help you on your journey to find out more about your personality, about yourself, about why you're here in this world. And I think when you find out more about this, health is kind of part of it already, because then you're not working against the energies that want to guide you. And money can be very helpful to work and find out, okay, as we heard earlier, what do I need it for? How important is it for doing what? What is my history of money from childhood? What is my way to approach money in a playful way? This is also why I brought all the bills with. And so coming back to your question, I think health can be one aspect, but I think it's worth to consider to open up the approach to work with money, and you will find out other aspects that might lead to health kind of automatically. Yeah.
I was going to just say some of my methods that I use, I apply alchemy when I work with money. Like you need to respect money if you want money to respect you. Think about it as an entity. For example, if you're doing admin work, if you're moving, the X amount, like a good chunk of money from X to Y, like paying your bills and all that. Don't do it in your pajamas. Put nice clothes on, and then sit on a desk. And if you're going to, a work meeting with your client, look really like, they call chic and elegant. And if you do that, then you alchemize your mind as well. You also alchemize that person as well, and you also alchemize your connection with money too. So always look at your environments. A lot of people don't change their environments and themselves, and then they expect their connection to money to change. It doesn't work like that. Think that you're always in an alchemist lab, and every single decision that you make, changes your connection to it.
And I think there are two more layers you should always consider. It is first the work, your individual work with money, but then you have the social aspect of money. And I don't mean, the societal thing that we went here, that we have to transform the monetary world as a society and go for a, let's say, healthier society. But in between, there's the momentum of connecting with the others around you. So money is an individual work, but it is also a momentum of who supports me, who's in my field, who can I support when I might maybe have a little more money, who can I ask for, financial support. So what is my social environment of people can support me. So, and asking for help or asking for support and sharing, I think this is also very, very important to create a deeper understanding of how money works in your environment, into society, and what kind of part and contribution you can do for the bigger transformation we need to see.
We have one more question.
Yeah.
I feel like what I take from this really is your quote of money is social. And it feels like the response is kind of what you were saying around the fluidity of the archetypes. That, you know, in the field that I'm from, we work with money as a lover. So if money is your lover, how much attention do you lavish upon them? How much pleasure do you take in relating with them instead of treating it as a chore, as something heavy? How do you bring your creative pleasure into your interaction with it? And when I hear, you know, you mentioning another archetype and someone asking, you know, the blocks, and what I take from this is really using the creative imagination that we have of not staying stuck with any of the archetypes, of knowing we have this full library available to us, wanting to play with us, and so to invite these solutions. So thank you. This is a really potent mindset for me that I take from this.
Yeah, one more.
Okay. So I work with Loki. He's the trickster.
Loki, yeah.
Yeah. And he helps me so much with my relationship with money. And he gives you money into a transformation, into rebuilding your life. Like, it is so helpful to work with tricksters to achieve money. Yeah.
What a beautiful closing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin.